this one. Where am I at?
You turn the overlay off.
Oh, perfect. I don't know how to turn the overlay off. Hey, good evening, everyone. I don't know how to use this yet. But anyway, my name is Brian Louchen, and I'll be your host this evening. This is Star Wars, Voices of the Galaxy live stream. Please go ahead and give us a like and share this live stream so we can kind of get the word out to all of our fellow friends in the Star Wars universe. I'm going to go ahead and introduce my guests for the evening. We got Ryan.
What's up? Thanks for having us.
Becca. We got Kevin.
Howdy ho.
We got Shanna.
May the force be with you.
We got Bill.
Hello.
And we got everyone.
At least his audio still works.
My audio works great. Everything else. Like, I can't see you guys. I can't see myself. I'm just here doing stuff.
I'm pretty sure he's using a still picture at this point.
He's time traveling still. It's okay.
At least you have a cool background, Bill. At least you have that, right?
There you go.
Right. I have that going for me.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We're basically going to be talking Star Wars. You can put comments. Let me see if we got any so far. We got Brandon, of course, saying hello.
I'm better at you than dodgeball,
Hey,
Brandon.
Steve, can you hear sound going on? Just check back in, bro, or close your stuff out and pull it back up. But we're going to go ahead and get started with the questions. So thanks for joining us. So we'll go ahead and get started. So we're going to start with something easy. You know, that way you don't have to do a lot of thinking, Becca. What is your favorite alien?
Early.
Or, wait, we're starting early. We're going to jump right in.
You.
Me?
Getting in Becca early.
Oh, wait, hold on. I got to put this
It's
on.
going to
computer
go
real quick.
on this whole time, right? Let's be honest.
Kevin Dillon says, my God, Kevin Louchen, that beard is magnificent. So that is a pretty awesome beard Kevin's got. No comment. Okay. So,
Thank you, my kind sirs.
all right. So, what is your favorite animal or animal species in the Star Wars universe? So I'll start with you, Becca, on this one. I'm going to put you.
He made fun of me for this, but I like the Jawas because they are little sneaky assholes. Like, let's be honest. Their business model is a little unconventional, but they are scrappy and they're smart about what they need to do to survive. They might steal the parts, but they keep their deals in the end, right? I mean, they might have stolen the Mandalorian's parts, but when he got the egg, the Mudhorn egg, they did give it back. I'm just saying. I like them.
I mean, you guys got any thoughts on Jawas?
I mean, they're cool. They steal stuff. Like, why not?
They kind of remind me of Slytherins. Like, they're cunning like that. So I got my heart's out.
Your language. Like, oh, you shoot them.
They do something awesome too.
Yeah, there you go.
I do have to say, though, that the Jawa's sandcrawler is pretty beast.
Yes.
Oh, my daughter's yelling at me. I forgot to send her a link. My bad.
They're actually even better. I like them better after the Mandalorian episode.
Yeah.
Like, they're so more like I think you got to look inside that a little bit more too. The Jawas, and you had some comic relief with that, but yeah. And then they were like all about that egg, and it reminded me of a Cadbury egg, and they're just like eating stuff. I was like, okay, these guys are wild, you know.
And that's probably I didn't really like them before the Mandalorian, but now I do. I don't know why, but
Mandalorian gave him a little bit more personality than just a couple little, lines.
You definitely got to be a little more like up close and personal with them, and you got to see over into the sandcrawler a little bit more, which was super cool.
All right, so I'll have Shanna go next. You can talk about your favorite alien or animal species.
So my favorite species is the Volptex, which are better known sometimes as like the crystal fox. So I've got one here on my shirt. I've got my plushie. So I just love foxes, and so it's a Star Wars fox. And I mean, they're a little bit of a noble creature too. They help everybody out on Crate escape out of the caves. I just love me some Volptex.
That was one of your trivia questions earlier, wasn't it, Shannon?
Yes, it was.
I remember that. That was a tricky one because people were trying to remember the name for it, I remember.
Yep. Everyone just wants to go with Crystal Fox and forget they have a real name.
I didn't know their real name. I said Crystal Fox. So
I mean, that's just like Baby Yoda. Like, it's Baby Yoda. It doesn't have a name, so they're just going to keep calling it Baby Yoda.
At least not yet.
They don't actually have a
The
name yet.
name's called the child. It has a name. It's the child.
Yeah, but the species doesn't have a name yet. They have
No,
a
the species
name.
does not have a name.
Yeah, I looked it up. They don't have, because I was like, what is it? I want to know. They don't have it.
Nope.
All right, Bill, are you talking over here? I'm going to put you up next.
Okay, we'll get different stuff. Okay.
Same
really
question.
comfortable not being able to see any of this. Okay, so I'm so embarrassed. Okay, so Ewoks are my favorite. I love the Ewoks cartoons when I was growing up. Yeah, I mean, if we're going with the cute and cuddly looking things that'll beat the crap out of you, it's got to be Ewoks.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
There was a guy that did an amateur video. I don't remember. It was a few minutes long. It came out maybe a few months ago that I saw it. And what he did is he had a different take on it. He was a stormtrooper that got left after kind of, the war, and basically showed that the Ewoks were actually not cannibals, but they were like meat eaters, and they were killing the stormtroopers and eating them. Did you happen to see that?
Yeah, no, I never understood it until I got older. But I mean, they were totally going to eat everybody on the poles being carried to the fire. I mean, 100% they were cannibals.
I mean, I think that's like you like, oh, they're cute and cuddly, and then just think about them like bloody fur, like wings hanging out.
The real style of Star Wars.
they remind me of like bears mixed with gremlins.
I mean, they're not really
Yeah.
cannibals, though.
I love the
They're not
gremlins.
eating
So, I mean, I guess it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right, how about you, Rye?
I'm actually a big fan of the Loath Wolves.
Lost wolves.
Going Star Wars Rebels on everybody. The animated series.
Wait, the what?
The Loath Wolves.
Lost wolves.
You don't know about the Loath Wolves?
Hey, you probably don't watch Rebels.
Yeah, Mr. Dave Filoni got me obsessed with them when he kind of talked about what his whole meaning was behind them all, and like the journey for Ezra and everything else that happened. I just think they're awesome. They're crazy. They could teleport across the planet, using the Force. So I don't think you get much better than that. What do you guys?
Okay, yeah, I mean, I watched like the first season of Rebels, so I don't know how deep it is into it, but
Wait till the last season. The last season, it's
how many
like
seasons does it have?
4.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I didn't get that far into it.
Yeah.
So,
But the Loath Cats though are awesome comic relief in the middle of it though, so I like those too.
you'll have to send me in Facebook Messenger later so I could see, or just Google it as far as the name. So,
Yeah,
Jerry says they are pretty gnarly. So,
They're very entwined with the Force. They really are. So it's really cool aspect that
and they're very, very strong. So I mean, they can take on a blast of shots and all sorts. They're like tanks. They're living tanks. Let's be honest.
I mean, living tanks are pretty.
They're
awesome.
living teleporting tanks.
That's awesome. So we'll finish it up with you, Broski. What about you?
I'm boring. I like I'm probably gonna butcher the name, the Dathomirians, which is basically like Darth Maul species. They're very warrior class, kind of reminds me of like Spartans, and I kind of like that. Very force sensitive and just brutal, and I kind of like that route. So I've made characters in games like that, and they just have a cool look to them. I mean, it's as simple as that.
That's awesome. I'm just curious because not everyone knows that you are working on your own version of the Star Wars book. Are they going to make an appearance in that?
I have a character as one of them that I have. Yes, I'm writing something, but I wasn't trying to make a plug or anything because I'm way far away in the process. But
Leave that to me.
it's probably just going to end up being fan fiction, but people that like it, that would want to read it, I'm like, hey, enjoy kind of thing if you're bored. So that's all.
Bored like you. And just want to give us Jay a shout out. Hello to you as well, Jay, for checking us out tonight. And everyone else. All right, you guys want to move on to the next question? Or you guys have any last minute thoughts on that one, or you want to move on?
What's your favorite species, bro?
Ooh, definitely not Jawas, but I like tauntauns. I gotta give a shout out.
Oh, really?
Tauntauns. I love those. And I love the snow, so I would love to go visit Antarctica and everything. So I gotta represent the tauntauns on that one.
And if you get stranded, you like cut them open.
Guts everywhere.
Oh, God.
They're cute and comfy on the inside.
Shannon says, Becky.
Hi, Shannon. I know, small world.
Small world, that's awesome.
I actually was thinking about Silicius Crumb, even though I know he's not a species. He's actually a really funny character with his high laugh. I really enjoy it.
Will's like tauntauns.
His species is a Kowakian monkey lizard.
Yep.
Yes.
Lizards, yep.
Yes.
And just a little side trivia: the gentleman who does the voice of Crumb actually lives down in St. Louis.
Oh,
All right. Weird fact. I like it.
Met him at Star Wars Day last year.
Oh, okay.
Jerry and Will bring up good ones. Wampa and Rancors. Those are definitely some good ones.
See, I thought we were talking like species of like the characters, not actual like animal species.
You can do either one.
I added both, Kev, just to kind of make it interesting.
So, like, sentient and non-sentient.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, because I need to be corrected like that sometimes.
I mean, as far as species go, I like the Twi'leks, man.
Yeah, they're cool.
I'd want to sell them, though, or try to break them up,
Twi'leks or Targrutas, and this is like a serious issue for me right now because I'm trying to decide to cosplay between Ahsoka and Hera, and I just can't decide. Twi'leks, Targruta.
I mean, they're both going to need a headdressing.
But see, I want to do both, but the headdresses are so expensive that I feel like I have to like focus and just pick one.
Okay.
Because it's about $200 for just the silicone headpiece by itself.
And you can't make them? No.
I'm sure I could make one, but it's not going to look good.
I'm pretty crafty. Let's talk about this later. Maybe we'll figure it out.
So we can move on to the next question then. So who is hated more, Rose or Jar Jar Binks? Let's start with Ryan on this one.
All right. Well, I got an interesting answer for this, and I think Shannon would probably say the same because I think she was at Celebration as well last year. I would say right now, I would say Rose is more hated. For our generation, growing up, we saw Clone Wars. Everybody hated Jar Jar Binks, and even Lucas told Ahmed Best, "He's like, don't worry, they're all going to hate you now, but they're going to love you later." And when we were at Celebration, they were cheering for him so much. And now he's getting his own Star Wars or Disney Plus show, like game show or whatever on Disney Plus. But I will tell you what, there is so much drama going around Rose right now. It's not even funny. And then in the last movie, if you guys haven't seen episode 9, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Spoiler.
Rose was in it for all of like a minute.
Close.
Because I still think it's a little fight, and I'm going to get a little political here. I think it's still a little fight between JJ and Ryan Johnson because Ryan Johnson cut out so many of JJ's characters. So JJ came back and was like, you know what? You came up with this Rose. Guess what? And she was gone.
Let's not talk about episode 9.
So I would say Rose.
I think we should.
I would say that currently I think Rose gets more of the backlash, but if you're going to compare like time for time, I would say that Jar Jar got more hate in his time than Rose is getting now.
Well, Jar Jar also had 15 years to hate on him. So,
well, and I would also say that because of all the hate that Jar Jar got, I think there's been a lot more proactive measures to kind of mitigate some of the stuff going on with Rose. And also the fans that are more my age, like I was 10 when Phantom Menace came out, so I love Jar Jar. So now being 30, when people throw that kind of hate, I think the fans my age are like, oh, heck no, and we shut that down a little bit.
And we're only 7 years apart.
I think there's a little bit more stand-up for Rose where there wasn't a lot for Jar Jar back in the day.
Now, do you think also Rose got more or less screen time in episode 9 though? Because Carrie Fisher, she was supposed to be in a lot of scenes with Carrie Fisher, and then obviously a lot got cut. Maybe not even political, but maybe like both kind of tied into it.
You mean like there's not some grand conspiracy to cut Rose out of episode 9?
I'm just throwing it out there.
Like, I mean,
Same thing with Jar Jar. Jar Jar.
I like the way you
yeah,
did it, bro. I like the way you did it.
40 seconds in episode 2 and it was done.
I mean, there was not a lot of love for Rose. Her action figures, even for Valentine's Day, they were bulk selling them by the dozen. Buy a dozen roses.
Dude, that's funny. Oh, God.
I mean,
How bad it got.
did she really have a character arc though? Because like the biggest part in episode 9 that she had was like when she saved Finn by like crashing into him and sacrificing almost everyone just so she could like sexually harass him for 10 seconds.
It's good. I like that.
You guys want to add anything else to Rose or Jar Jar Binks conversation?
I think the reason there's twofold why I think Rose is probably hated more. First off, you're in the social media era. Like it's way, way bigger than it ever was for Jar Jar. So so it's hard to compare. It's like comparing like two different types of football now and 2 decades ago. To me, you can't really do it because so much things have changed. But the other reason I think it's huge is because the backlash that 7, 8, and 9 got, period. There are a lot of people that did not like the movies in general. In my opinion, they didn't. So I think the backlash, they want to pinpoint things here. And I never saw what Rose's big contribution to making it bad really was. Just people it's like she's the scapegoat. And it's like,
yeah.
You know, Jar Jar, he talked funny. He was obnoxious. You know, that's what he did. Rose didn't do anything. Like, she didn't do anything. I'm like, why are people upset? I didn't understand it at all.
I didn't understand why people didn't like either of them. I mean, well, by Revenge of the Sith, I didn't like him because, I mean, it's kind of his fault that the Chancellor took over, right? So, I mean, other than that reason, why is there to really hate either of them? I mean, the character of Jar Jar was there for the kids growing up at that time, no different than R2-D2 and 3CPO. There is no difference between those types of characters and what they were there for.
Absolutely.
You know? So, I mean, to hate on that, I don't get it. It's no different than someone hating on any of the last 3 movies because they keep comparing it to the original trilogy. You're never going to beat out the original trilogy. It doesn't matter what you do. I just, you know, people are going to hate for no other reason than hating. So,
Yeah. I do think too that, I mean, with Jar Jar, you have to give him credit though with Ahmed Best because Jar Jar was like the first official like mocap character where they were trying to blend that in with real life, and Ahmed Best has actually spent the last 20, 25 years teaching other people because he was like the pioneer that helped them get that to work. So I thought Jar Jar was annoying when he first came out. But, over the time and as I matured and got a little older, it was definitely for the kids. It was definitely to bring that generation in, as you said. But, it's one of those things. I feel bad for him. Those first 10 years, I think he wanted to commit suicide for the first 3 years after the movie came out. So,
yeah. This last celebration was his first Star Wars celebration ever because he just distanced himself so hard from it. Yep. And we didn't have social media back then, but the internet was a thing. And it was the first Star Wars movie to really have the backlash of the internet. People were saying, like, you killed my Star Wars. So, there was no social media, but I do think that Jar Jar still had a major internet dissing served to him.
Well, mine would probably be Rose, but regardless, I just wanted the Darth Jar Jar theory to be real. I don't know if you guys have heard about that, but I wanted that so to be real because of the secret drunken fist master and everything, and that theory was just so amazing. I was like, please, God, make this real. And it didn't happen, obviously, but I don't know what you guys thought about that, but I thought it was awesome. I was like,
Terrible. No.
real.
Now I would really not like Jar Jar if he did that, but no.
Well, especially after getting his character development in Clone Wars, I'm good with him the way.
Yeah. Yeah, Clone Wars helped really change my perspective on that character.
Yeah, no, I definitely hear that. So let's move on to the next question then, unless anyone wants to add anything to that. Okay. So what is the most iconic Star Wars universe quote of all time? I'll let
Ryan's getting his list out.
yeah, heck yeah. I'll let Kevin start with it.
I mean, I got there's too many. I think my favorite, like, real quote would be Yoda's "Do or do not. There is no try." I think
Peter, that was mine.
well, it can still, but I think one of my favorite ones is because I like to do this at work with people. I'm sure you guys will know, like, the hello there and just be like, General Kenobi. I love saying that for no reason, just because.
All right, so since Santa had like the same one, I'll let her yell about that.
I mean, you sold my Yoda one, but I mean, the one that really hits home for me is "I am no Jedi" from Clone Wars with Ahsoka, or Rebels with Ahsoka, and that really just really hit home for me for some strange way. I don't know.
That was a good line, though.
It was. It
was very strong.
Powerful. It was just like
she had resentment towards him for sure.
well,
it's very apparent in my opinion. It got worse over time. Like, she respects him, but she, like, just like politicians, she felt they got corrupt. So I feel like that's why she's like, I am not that. She's like, I'm not bad, but I am not that, because that had an image associated.
Yeah, she doesn't fall into the dogma of the Jedi ways. Like, I'm gonna forge my own path. I don't agree with your way. I'm not going to the dark side, but this is my thing. That just like hit home for me.
Yeah, we got some good comments coming in with good quotes too. William Dahlberg, feel the hate. We got Joe. I have a bad feeling about this. Definitely classic. So,
Yeah, I say that one a lot. I have a bad feeling about that, and I pretty much live by do or there is no try, do or do not. I mean, I just, that's kind of classic. So,
is that your favorite, Bill?
I would have to say, yeah, that probably made the most difference. If we're talking about like what the line meant to you and why it's your favorite, that one I try things that people tell me I probably shouldn't, right? I'm stupid, but
No.
I don't accept not succeeding. So
Gotcha. How about you, Becca? What's your favorite quote?
Ryan stole mine, but I grew up hearing it in sports, and a lot of people who weren't into Star Wars didn't get where it was from, but of course I did. But it was always like, no matter what, you give 100%, no matter if you win or lose. So I equate it to the sports reference a lot, but I've always really liked that one. I also like "This is how democracy dies" with thunderous applause. I really like that.
That's a good one.
I don't know why. I felt like she always had a sense something bad was coming, and she's kind of an underplayed character.
Yeah, Padme's really good.
She is. I really liked her. Plus, Natalie Portman's hot as hell. So,
I mean, agreed. I can't deny that.
I mean, that the do or do not one does seem almost like it's universal for all of us.
I think every single one of us has said it so far.
Was that yours, Ryan, that you had?
I mean, it is one of those things too. But I mean, I guess one of the other ones too is it's an old school original trilogy line, which is "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope." Because it's kind of funny because they always keep talking about hope throughout all the series, and whether you want to bash Rogue One or not and everything else, they always talk about hope, and hope is the what leads to the rebellion and everything else. It's kind of funny because in a way, they're almost kind of leading into the fact that Obi-Wan is the reason why the rebels kind of started. And if you watch all the animated series, he's still alive. He's actually part of that whole thing. So if you think about it, you know, General Obi-Wan is kind of the one who kept that whole thing going from the Republic to the Rebels. So
For sure.
Definitely.
which, of course, in the original trilogy, you would have known all that if you saw everything else the next 25 years.
So Avery and Jerry got some good quotes in the comments here. Avery says, I have the high ground. I am your father. You were to destroy the Sith, not join them. So good quotes from Avery.
All right, I'm your father's pretty good one.
Yeah. Jerry, got to go with the I love you. I know, classic.
That was engraved on my engagement ring. I had "I love you" on mine, and then he.
What? That is so awesome.
awesome.
That is awesome. I am jealous about that. So, did I get everyone's quotes for this one? Is that gonna be mine?
Yeah.
Everybody but you.
So mine was from Rogue One, and it was "I'm one with the Force. The Force is with me." I just love that one
All right.
so much.
Nice
That's a
one.
fun
I
one.
love that one. He's like blind man going into freaking war, and he believes, man. Like it was just so iconic to me, and I love Rogue One anyway. But I love that quote so much. So
That's a good one too, because it also brings in the idea of the Force as more of a religion, which like they kind of bring up in New Hope, and then they like kind of pass over it a lot.
That's a whole nother conversation.
yeah, that's not one of my questions, Shanna. So, but yeah, Star Wars is basically like religion. I mean, I think a lot of these quotes you can relate to your personal life. You know what I mean? Like, do or do not. There's no, that quote obviously, but you can relate it to your personal self, and you have a lot to gain from that. And I think that's why they are so iconic, because they can relate to real life. So, let's go to the next heavy question. Which you guys will have to jump out and tell me who wants to take this one first. But this one actually came from Bill. He actually gave it to me either last night or today, which I wanted to add.
Okay.
Who do you think ultimately brought balance to the Force?
If it's Bill's question, he gets the answer first.
Okay, Bill, you're going first.
All right, so I think they all failed. I think at no point anyone brought balance to the Force. I mean, there were key moments where like the balance transferred, right? There was a lot of, thousands of years where the Sith was almost non-existent with the rule of two, all of that, right? And then when Anakin becomes Darth Vader, he kind of shifts the balance of the Force to the dark side. And you have the Empire rules for a certain amount of time, right? And then it pretty much just flips right back, almost. And then we find out in the final trilogy that it never really shifted balance. And then by the end of episode 9, we're right back to it being out of balance again. So, I mean, really, the balance never was brought back to the Force. And I mean, I think there's only maybe 2 ways to do that, right? Either somehow the good and the bad side of the Force find some in between, or there is no Jedi or Sith, which is kind of what Luke says near the end of episode 8. So, I think despite all of the Chosen One talk, and even in Clone Wars, that whole story arc where, where Anakin is finding out that he will become Darth Vader if he doesn't, choose to keep it in balance, right? They all ended up failing bringing balance. I mean, if anything, it would be Anakin when he becomes Darth Vader, if anyone was to have brought balance to the Force, because he really did, flip the majority, if you will, to the other direction.
Does anyone want to chime in on that?
Yes.
Me too.
All right, which you guys got to do like paper, rock, scissors or something. Or
Go ahead, Shanna.
Okay.
Okay.
I had a few things to say. The first one is when we go to say like there's the prophecy that there's going to be balance to the Force. There is also the idea that could have been misinterpreted, because in Rebels they have the Mortis trilogy, and in there Anakin is able to balance the Force between those two powers. So that could have been more of what they're referring to it could have been misinterpreted. But then also, if you're going to say who brings balance to the Force, like you mentioned, is it really the cosmic force itself that brings balance? Like Palpatine said in the most recent, in episode 9, he said that, you know, when the dark rises, the light rises up to match it. So by that concept, it's almost as if the Force is creating the balance irregardless of Jedi or Sith.
That's interesting. I like that.
Becca, you want to jump in?
Oh no, can't hear you.
Muted.
You're muted.
You're muted.
We're good. Sorry. So I didn't want everyone to hear me chewing. So I know that you're saying like it's Sith versus Jedi being balanced, but what if it was Rey balancing the Force, given that she saw the vision of her being on the Sith throne and her blood from Palpatine of being more on the dark side, but choosing to be on the light side, and that's more of the balance because she could go more either way, but she's choosing to be on the light side given her dark history.
But doesn't every Force user have that choice?
Yeah, it's kind of it's a nature versus nurture kind of conversation.
Yeah.
With
And
that.
isn't it also kind of the fact that like Palpatine is essentially the reason Rey becomes created, but it kind of backlashes on him too. Like again, that rebalance, like he tried to push the dark side so far, but it just kind of became the undoing. So again, that cosmic force kind of balancing it out.
I feel like Palpatine pushed a lot of people and it all ended up backfiring on him. Between Vader and Kylo and Rey.
But that's the way of the Sith, right? Every Sith apprentice ends up killing its master and taking on a new apprentice.
Well, that's the way it has to be in the rule too.
There's balance in two ways you really have to look at it. So first off, I think if you look at the balance of the Force, I think it's always equal. As there's a yin and a yang. You can never have one too powerful than the other. Now there is like the political and the actualized power. So in theory, Darth Sidious is the most powerful evil force out there, but that doesn't mean you don't have undiscovered good power out there. That's how the Sith keep coming back. That's how Jedi keep coming back. The power is always there. So I don't think the energy's never. It's kind of like matter. It's it's always just there. So it's who harnesses it and where is that sense of it. And if you really take a look at that, Anakin did do that in the greatest sense, where the sense of control it was the most disproportionate. So the Jedi had councils, they had temples, they had tons and tons of people in the ranks, whereas in the Sith were barely anything. So to me, I feel like Anakin actually did it in favor of the Sith when he basically helped slaughter all of them, especially the younglings. And so wiped them out. I will kill this little 9-year-old, and that's what he did. That's what he did. We'll call it what it is. And so I think he, if you look at the grand scheme of things, that's where the whole focus was for both the first two trilogies. Is balance to the Force. It was all when they always talked about it. It was always in regards to him. The Jedi just thought that the balance was, the Sith. They're getting power. They're getting power. Well, no, they can't really exist without the Jedi. It's both. Yeah, it's the yin and the yang. You can't have one without the other. So it's theoretically, in my opinion, it's always equal. It's just who's dominating at the time.
Well, and what's funny too is if you think about it, there's always two Sith, right? And in weird situations, maybe a third, if you know what I'm talking about.
Well, if you go prior to Rule of Bane, there were more than two.
Yeah.
And who says there aren't other Sith doing the Rule of Two?
Well, that's the thing. So
You know who's not in the movie right now.
Exactly. So that Rule of Two is a sham, in my opinion. It's just they only focus on the two most important.
Well, and if you think about it, if the Jedi had a council and everything else, and if we're just talking Jedi and Sith, if there's 12 council members plus the Padawans and their Padawans, et cetera, and then you have the younglings, how strong would those two Sith have to be to counteract the power of all of them? And so, as you said, it's not, you're looking at the Sith and the Jedi as extremes of the good and the bad, but there's still all the scoundrels out there and the smugglers and this, and you have the other people that are trying to help people and do charity things. And and all that too. So you have to think, they call it the galaxy in Star Wars, but it's really the universe. Let's be honest, the galaxy is just one thing. But you have to think universally that there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad, and they're all happening at the same time. Just because we don't see it or hear about it doesn't mean it didn't happen. Kind of like what Kevin's saying.
Yeah, I agree with you guys on that as far as the yin and the yang, as far as that aspect of it. Did anyone not comment on that question? Or
Yeah, I would like to comment on the comment you made. I disagree that you and Ethan Michael are like.
I was going to ask who's the dark, who's the light.
Yeah, I'm not going there. We're going to that one. I just wanted to point it out. They disagreed.
Well, like Brennan,
Just leave that one there.
Like which one?
Well, what's funny is if you think about it,
Father.
if you think about it from like Ahsoka's view of things, what if the Jedi really are actually the bad people, and the Sith are just trying to snuff them out?
You know what that reminds me of, Ryan?
True. I mean, the Sith will go ahead and just, but then again, Anakin did get them younglings.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
Yeah, but I mean,
But also,
part of the Jedi Order. He had no choice.
but is it also sometimes the like dogmatic way of the Jedi that forces some people to go Sith?
yeah.
Like sometimes that these Jedi who just
Darth Revan was a Jedi.
that's left. I think it's the emotions. They let their emotions drive them versus thought.
But who does emotion? That's what Anakin.
That's me, my opinion.
Ryan, I just have a cheap plug here that hasn't anything to do with Star Wars, but basically kind of the different perspective on things. If anyone hasn't seen Cobra Kai on YouTube, having his perspective, that was an amazing story where you see the flip side of things, which was so awesome, which I was like, dude, this is really awesome. But I know it's not Star Wars related, but that's what it reminded me of as well.
Yeah.
The losers don't tell history. It's the winner.
Very true.
All right, so let's. Sorry, go ahead, Shanna.
I was going to say, I don't know how many people watch the cartoons. If you watch in Resistance, which is like the newest cartoon, they show a lot of like the other side of how some people view the Empire as coming in to bring order and peace to some of the areas that were really chaos. So to some people, the Empire was making things better. So there is that, which side, which side are you looking at it from?
It's all propaganda.
I'm not trying to get too crazy on this idea, but Hitler did the same thing. Okay, propaganda.
I mean, they basically modeled the Empire after the
Nazis.
Nazis.
I was going to say, sorry, are you saying that the Empire is Nazis?
Yeah, how is it not that parallel?
Is that where we're going with this?
Parallel. Tell me, how is it not parallel?
They kind of are.
I mean,
right,
they did signify it a lot in the sequel trilogy with the First Order. I mean, that whole first thing from was it Force Awakens, or whatever, that was all Nazi straight out.
Yeah, there's a lot of parallels. I'm just saying.
I mean, even with the red flags. I mean, come on, red flags, black insignias. Come on.
Oh my God.
Well, since we're talking controversy, let's talk about this question. Let's talk about the Star Wars viewing order. Ethan and Shannon were talking about this in trivia at the end. So, in what order are you supposed to watch the films? If you want to include the TV shows and the side films, you may well do that. So, you want to go first, Ryan?
I want to go first on this one because I was actually in the trivia stuff earlier, and there were some good points made. Absolutely, if it's your first time watching Star Wars, you have to watch them in the order that they got released if you're talking about the movies. And my reason for it is not only because it spoils, the whole I'm your father thing, which is the big spoiler for the Empire, but you also don't know that Luke and Leia are brother and sister yet. And then if you go back and watch the prequels first, you're automatically going to go into the original trilogy and be like, oh my gosh, it's total incest. Without even thinking about it first, and then later on you feel like, oh, they're brother and sister. So
that's a really good point.
And it's a really good thing because even in the movie they didn't tell them anything about that until they actually gave them the lines for it. So you genuinely feel the holy crap, we're siblings kind of moment if you watch it in order. But if you watched it all already before, absolutely watch it in chronological order. For 1, 2, Clone Wars, 3, whatever. Well, Clone Wars and 3 are kind of intermixed now, and kind of go through all the animated series that way. But yeah, I definitely think if you're gonna watch it the first time, it's got to be 4, 5, 6 first.
I've got a spin on that. So I read a few years back this person's take on it, and I liked it because if you actually want to follow it as a story, which it's being foretold, I came across this and I really like this, and I have done it, and I think it makes sense. So you watch episodes 4, 5, and then you jump to 1, 2, and 3, and then you go 6, 7, 8, 9. And the reason is because if you actually think about it, after you find out Luke is his father, because up to that point you don't know that, then you go back and find the story about how he became Darth Vader, and then you find out some of the other stuff. And it actually doesn't really ruin any actual material, because if you watch 4, 5, and 6, and then 1, 2, 3, well, you already know he's the father. You lose kind of some of the intense emotions you may have. If you watch 1, 2, and 3 first, well, you already know the big secrets. So if you want to try to follow it like a story, it's like 4 and 5, and then Vader tells him he's his father, and then you find out like almost like a backlog into the story, and then you go 6, 7, and so on. So I came across that a while ago, and I actually like it. But
That's not bad, because I think Luke and Leia's kiss was in Return of the Jedi, right?
yes, it was.
So you wouldn't have seen that yet. So
Nope.
it would have been a whole like, wait a minute, what's going on? So that's not bad. That's not bad, Kevin.
Yeah, I've never heard this order before, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you could squeeze in Solo in there and Rogue One, but that order, which I heard, I was like, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like if somebody was being like told that, and they're like, oh, and then this is what really happened, 1, 2, and 3, right in the middle of that, and then you go back to it, kind of breaks up the intensity between 5 and 6, which I kind of feel that I do. The last time I watched it, I felt that, but it's still like for the story's sake, especially someone who's never seen it, it kind of keeps a lot of the details hidden.
I would almost, now that I think about that, I would almost even throw Rogue One in before 4.
Yeah, you can do that. Yep.
And then it's the Rogue One, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6.
Yeah. Oh, I was just doing the main
There's
numbers.
Solo in there too.
Oh yeah, no, you gotta watch the other one too, but I'm just saying like the main storyline. I think
I mean, if you start doing too much, you're gonna reveal like Clone Wars, and then you reveal Darth Maul. Like you can't give it too much. But if you're gonna do the main numbers and then go back, that would be the way I like it.
Ryan, I agree with you for sure. I mean, I watched them as they were released, so pretty much the order that you said, but going back and rewatching, it definitely, chronologically, you have to do.
So I'm actually going through them right now. Just finished Clone Wars. I'm going to start with my son. We're going to start watching Revenge of the Sith and just keep going in chronological order, start watching Rebels. But the one thing, you're talking about the spoilers for Empire with, Luke, I am your father. I mean, we're even spoiling it now, right?
if we're spoiling it now, you're in the wrong place.
But I'm just saying, it is so mainstream. Like, our kids aren't going to have that experience that we had.
Agreed.
Of figuring that out. At some point, they're probably, if they haven't already, it's like, they're never going to have that same experience that we had, where it's like, what? Might have been a little more exaggerated, like, what? I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I would say a lot of it is kind of common knowledge now. So when I would say people of like the younger generation do watch it in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 order, like I'm not going to hate on them, because a lot of them already know all of those little surprises throughout, and whatever gets you into Star Wars is good in my book.
Yeah, I do like all the spin-off movies, though. I mean, some people hate on some of them. I mean, a lot of people hate on Solo, but I think a lot of the hate on Solo was because everybody was pissed off about Episode 8. That's all I'm going to call it, Episode 8.
For sure.
And,
it was a good movie. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, but everybody hated on them, and I was like, I feel bad for Solo, because Solo would have done a really good job if Episode 8 did good at the box office too.
We're going to talk about that question later, so hold that thought. But the point I want to make is, I'm going to steal what Billy Wax said in the trivia. I like all the Star Wars. I just like some more than others, but I love the Star Wars universe and the storytelling. So that's just my thought. I just
called being a fan, Brian.
Exactly.
Listen,
So,
I'm a Chicago Bears fan, but they hurt me a lot. Let me tell you. They hurt
That's
me a
your
lot.
first mistake. You're a Bears fan.
Probably, but I love them. But
It is the Star Wars chat, not sports chat. This is a
hey, it's my Bears plug. All right, have you ever heard of them?
Who?
Exactly.
Exactly.
I haven't heard of 1985. What are you talking about?
I'm going to put a comment on the screen for you guys to talk about and just jump in if you want. So Avery says, has anyone played Jedi The Fallen Order?
Yes.
I'm not.
I have not, but I've heard a lot of good things.
PS4 Pro. It's awesome.
So you want to talk about it, Ryan?
It's a really good. I haven't gotten too far into it, so I don't want to try to spoil anything. But it's a really good story mode story game. You get into a lot of the things about what happened after Order 66, and the main character is kind of hiding out, like pretending not to be a Jedi. If it sounds familiar, like anybody else in a certain series that just finished. So you follow Cal Kestis through all this, like he's on a junkyard planet and they're tearing apart Star Destroyers and Republic cruisers and all sorts of stuff coming in. And there's a lot of nods to the TV show. So if you watch any of the Rebels, Resistance, or Clone Wars, there's a lot of ships and things in there that you'd see that you wouldn't otherwise know about. So the designers of the game did a great job. But it's a great story play. The only thing that sucks is if you die, you have to go like all the way back to another point where you saved or meditated at. So certain points can get really annoying.
Don't die.
But the gameplay is awesome. It's got some really awesome combo moves. The usage of the Force is really great. So I mean, overall, it's an awesome game. I love it.
Yeah, I still remember the days of Shadows of the Empire. That's my jam right there.
Hey, well, when we were young playing on PC too, there was the good old game, X-Wing on PC.
My favorite, Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
Kevin always played Knights of the Old Republic. I never played it, but I heard like the storytelling between going either way.
I got the wrong shirt on today.
Not me, Scott did. I played Shadows of the Empire. I love it. Hell yeah.
I was trying to give you props, Kev, but it didn't work out. So.
I mean, I watch Scott play all the time, but yeah, I like Shadows of the Empire. That was my game.
What about you, ladies? Any memorable video games you remember playing?
I'm not so much a good video game player, but arcade game wise, I like the pod racing games because I'm really bad at them. So I feel like if I at least complete the race, then I can be like, yay, I completed the race. And then I can feel good about myself. So I'm not the biggest, I'm not really good at video games.
Me either. I don't play them unless we're talking Spiral.
Fingers, not a lot of dexterity.
All right, so the next question I'm going to move on to is decision time. We got to make a decision here because I'm about to play a video after this question. You may or may not have seen the video, but it ties in. So decision time would be: would you join the Rebels or the Empire? So Ryan, I'll let you go first.
I would totally be on the Rebels. Are you kidding me? There's a lot of things. There's a lot of resources. You got to be kind of, you have to be resourceful for what you have around and who you talk to. You got to be sneaky. You got to be running around. I like the whole thing of like Han Solo being a smuggler, kind of working the underground like that. Dealing with Lando and that whole issue. When you're dealing with the Empire, it's all, this is how it's going to be, or you're not going to be in the Empire anymore, which means they kill you. So I'd rather not die. I mean, let's be honest. I'm sure it's hot as hell in those freaking stormtrooper outfits. I mean, I'm just saying.
How about you, Becca?
I don't know. The Rebels are like the underdogs, and they obviously are the good guys and whatnot. But the Empire has some pretty badass weapons, and they look cool in their uniforms and stuff. Not as like a stormtrooper though. I'd probably join the Rebels just because they win. But the Empire is a really good backup.
Empire's got awesome weapons because the beam made them for him.
All right, move to Kevin.
This is a loaded question for me. It would depend on my job, because if I could be like something really cool for Imperials, I'm not gonna lie, I could definitely shoot some people. I mean, you're gonna shoot some people as a rebel or Empire. I guess you just feel better about it as a rebel because this is just cause, and the Empire oh well, I'm just gonna go murder people for fun. But I mean, I don't know. I think I wouldn't pick either or. I don't know that I'd join the cause, but I guess I'd have to go Rebels just because I feel like I might have a hard time shooting a little kid. Just
All right, Bill.
He said he might have a hard time.
He didn't.
I'd have to say Rebel, but I probably wouldn't end up actually joining either. I'd probably figure out some way to get by without that. I mean, there's got to be like good parts of the galaxy, right? Yeah, you know what? I'm thinking about it. I'd be one of those people that would be like, you know what? I think the Empire is bringing some good order into this place.
You'd be a tauntaun handler.
Yeah. No, this working out okay for us. I think we're okay.
How about you, Shannon?
I think there's like a serious question here. Do I have force powers? Because like if I can be in like Vader's position, Empire all the way. If I don't have force powers, I'm gonna be on the Rebels.
It matters.
Man, that
It
does
matters.
That's a very good point. I didn't think about that, but that's a question that is similar later that we're gonna have. But I would definitely be Rebel. See, I would be Rebels, but I'm kind of split too. I would probably go Rebels, but I'm actually going to.
You'd probably be in the Empire wishing you were in the Rebels.
The real question is,
It was the other way around, actually.
That's really what it comes down to. How many little kids can you shoot? Because if you can all the way,
Yeah, okay.
Stormtrooper, you don't have to shoot any of them.
Do you know that the Rebels didn't shoot like kids though in the Empire?
I mean, yeah, like I guess you have to, but I feel like the cause is better as a rebel.
Here's a question for you guys that are stuck on it though. So here's the deal. Imagine yourself on Endor, right? You kill 12 Ewoks. Do you bury them or do you make a carpet out of them?
Oh my god.
Ooh. Wait, can we
on Endor?
Can we wear them? Because I would have an Ewok head here and an Ewok head here.
Oh,
technically, if you were smart, like cavemen, they used to use like the part of the animal for all uses. Wouldn't you just keep their fur and use it in case you had to go to like somewhere cold? I'm just saying, like you have to be resourceful.
Lub, lub. You're in the forest. You don't need it.
Can't you eat them?
Will made a very good point
about the Ewoks eating people. Nobody has an issue with the people eating Ewoks.
No,
I just trying to point that out, make everybody aware. No standard in the virtual room, but
like I said, Brian,
It's a normal
question. There's so many dynamics I need to know.
yeah, it's really hard. It depends on where you are in the galaxy too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's got to be good parts where you are thinking the Empire's, you know, the right thing. You don't know about Darth Vader and the Sith. I mean, at some point, that all starts becoming like, you know, myth, legends. I mean, look at what happened by Episode 9. I mean, we didn't really know what the Force was when Luke started finding out about it. It's not like the Jedi are, you know, it was right here. It's been about 20 years. I mean, who remembers what kind of phone they had 20 years ago?
It's like is the Force real? It's like it's real, kid.
Right.
Yeah, well, you're right. Like, your experience would guide you in that way. So we say it knowing, like, from a like a all-knowing perspective, we know the story.
Right.
But like, if you grew up where the Empire saved you by providing you resources in order.
The galaxy was starving by the time the Empire, you know, rose up, right?
Yeah.
So they come in, they bring order, they bring food. It might not be a bad deal.
Are we really seeing this like the movies from an all-knowing viewpoint though? Because I feel like it's more skewed towards the Rebels.
Well, what's funny too is I mean, a lot of people still feel that the entire movie series is supposed to be told by C-3PO.
I've heard that. Well,
and that was supposed to be the original ending, is that C-3PO and R2-D2 were supposed to be telling a story to someone else in the future, which is why it's called A Galaxy Far Away and a long time ago, but A Galaxy Far Away, because it's C-3PO telling another group of stories or another group of people the stories of Star Wars. But then, of course, Disney had to go and bleep it all up.
Well, but that's like that. Disney's done some blunders for sure, but I like, okay, it's not literally an all-knowing, but you're in a lot more of the known perspective than like anybody else actually in it. You know, you see the Empire is geared to look like the bad guy, and they do that in murder, but at the same time,
perspective.
Yeah, that's our perspective. That's how the story's being told. So, but it's still, if you're thinking it like the viewer, you're seeing people doing things in different spots here of the galaxy and here. So it's like you have a lot better view than anybody else, even in there. Maybe if you consider Darth Sidious, I guess but even then he dies and we see that. So.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to bring a comment on the screen, even though I made him pick. Will said neither the Bounty Hunters Guild, which would have been a good one, but
That's a good one.
I'm gonna actually do a quick video on the screen for you guys. Like I said, you may or may not have heard this video, but this question is gonna tie into that. So you guys, this is gonna be about a minute or so long. So just hang tight while I add this to the screen. All right. All right. So. Play. Come on, play. Can you guys hear it or no?
No.
Negative. Did you? Hey, Brian, when you share it, you got to click the little checkbox in the corner.
Yeah, I did. It didn't work. All right, let's try that again. So
it's a bunch of clickbait anyway.
No, it's not. All right, let's try this round 2.
Round 2, fight.
They got a new Mortal Kombat coming out.
No audio again? Son of a bitch.
No audio.
All right, hold on. Let me try it one more time because I'm slow apparently.
On May 3rd, there was a day afterwards, and it was called May 4th. That's all I got from that.
You want us to narrate it together collectively?
No. So share audio, screen 1. All right, let's go. Oh, I know what I did. Hold on.
Did you mute your audio out?
I muted my audio in that. That's what I did wrong. Because I was trying to get it set up. All right, now it's going to work.
Amateur hour, you know what I'm saying?
They're in celebration of Jedi, rebels, and the power of the Force. They wear costumes, have parties, and share greetings and pictures on their social networks. They say it's fun, but what aren't they telling you about May the 4th? They say that the rebels are heroes, looking to restore freedom to the galaxy. Fact, the Jedi and rebels are traitors to the Empire, and so are all those who celebrate May the 4th. They say, may the Force be with you, in reference to an old greeting about the Force. Fact, the Force is used for mind control, levitation of dead and haunting the living after death. Is that really something to celebrate?
Haunting?
Jedi and rebel fighters. Fact, wearing such attire is a punishable crime. May the 4th is a dangerous and immoral holiday. This year, say yes to the Empire. Say no to Jedi. Say no to rebels. And say no to May the 4th. Destroy May the 4th.
Very sweet.
So yeah, I found that video the other day, and I absolutely had to play it for you guys. I thought it was amazing. I'm like, this is a propaganda video. This is the best thing ever. Oh my god! Oh
it's a good thing you didn't send that to me before this panel. I am sold.
Yeah,
Me too.
like I mean, they're right. Those rebels are bad.
They're bad people.
That's it. Give me a blaster.
You don't miss.
I can kill a kid now. Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible.
All right, so next question for you guys. What is your guys' favorite lightsaber fight? Who wants to take that? What, Billy? I guess you'll go first on that one.
I converted. Okay. So, dude, I really, really liked the lightsaber fight with Darth Maul and
Yes.
Darth Maul and who?
and Ahsoka.
Yes.
Oh.
And just not in Rebels. I haven't seen Rebels yet. Okay, but in this final story arc, when they were fighting on the beams, I was like, man, it just feels like it's live action. You know, that I really enjoyed that.
All right, I gotta tie off a bill there too. I love that fight so much; it was so good, and I totally feel what Bill's saying. It felt like it could have been something that was real. And I talked to a lot of my friends. That was the fight that should have been in episode 9, not some cheap little thing, whatever. Now, they hyped up 9 so much with, oh, it's gonna have the best fight, the best lightsaber battle ever. No. You want to see the best lightsaber battle ever? It's that episode 11 of season 6.
I got twofold.
Sure.
I did see that one, and I thought that was really good. So twofold. First off, my probably favorite, but yeah, it's too hard to choose, is actually Ahsoka and Darth Vader. I can't remember if that was, I think that might have been Rebels. That fight was so intense because it was the first time they had really seen each other since Anakin turned. It was extremely emotional to me. I really liked that one. I thought it was really intense, and it was like where they're almost about to die too because they're at the Sith temple, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
So I thought that was a really one of the better battles. I will tell you the worst battle ever, the worst one I've seen was in Rebels, Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan Kenobi. Terrible. I absolutely hated it. It was so bad. It was all of 30 seconds. It was stupid. I hated it.
I'll take over on that one. I actually really, against Obi-Wan 1-on-1, yes, but Darth Maul against Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan at the same time was my perfect one because it had the perfect music with Duel of the Fates, one of the best songs ever.
It was good.
Obviously, the introduction to the double lightsaber for people that watch the movies. Just Darth Maul walking around like a goddamn lion behind those laser freaking gates. I lost my mind watching that. So
that was his biggest mistake.
The last thing was, they built him up in such a short time in the one movie. That's another thing that I really liked. And obviously, I know he's come back and all that stuff. Spoilers, but that's kind of my, take on my favorite lightsaber sight. Obviously, your classic Vader Luke is a close second, but that was my fave.
I got to say, I've spent so much time hating on Phantom Menace. I almost completely ignored that lightsaber fight, in my memory, right? That really is a great one. I got to say that is definitely a great one. I still like the one I said better, but yeah, I agree that the one you're saying is great.
I think it just shows Lucas didn't know the fact that fans would love Maul so much. That's why he kept bringing him back. I mean, people love him. He's an amazing character, and the fact that he lost his lower half. People, come on, he fell down
multiple times,
still back. Come on, he's just an amazing character, and it just shows that I think that was his biggest mistake out of everything you want to say he did. To me, he killed off him too soon. He should have never had Dooku, and I think the story would have been better. I mean, I still like the prequels, but I think it would have been better had they kept Maul around.
I couldn't pick between one, so I chose 2. I really like Yoda and Sidious in Revenge of the Sith. Mainly because Yoda went from an old dude with a cane to a badass gymnast in the Olympics, going from seat to Senate seat. That was one of them. And then the other one I really liked visually was Kylo Ren and Rey in The Force Awakens, because it's just stunning. And the dark forest with the blue and the red lightsaber just bouncing back and forth. Just visually for me, that one really stood out to me.
That's definitely a good one. I'd like to just add a comment from Avery. I only thought the Anakin versus Obi-Wan was crazy intense. Surroundings and just who it was fighting. That's a good point with the surroundings for sure.
Wasn't that the longest fight? Was that probably the longest?
I don't know, actually.
Maybe screen time, maybe not screen time. I feel like obviously that was one of the bigger ones. Obviously Luke and Vader is obviously a big one too, but
I hear Anakin would have liked to give both arms and legs to have a rematch, though.
He did, and he got his rematch.
I think any lightsaber battle that has Maul in it, though, just takes a whole new level because you see a different type of fighting style with Maul. With the other lightsaber battles, we see more of especially with the Jedi, you see more of like a defensive martial arts form, whereas with Maul, it's definitely more of like, strike first, definitely an aggressive form of martial arts, and we don't see that with as many of the other characters. So it's definitely just interesting to watch anytime we have Maul.
For sure. Well, I'm sure you guys know he's like a trained martial artist, whereas everyone else has been trained to learn to fight, whereas he just it's instinctual, and I think it kind of carries over to camera a little better.
So here's a quick question, since everybody kind of brought up Maul. Who's the bigger badass? Vader at the end of Rogue One, or Maul in the end of Clone Wars?
I'm not trying to be too weird about this, but I cannot tell you how aroused I was to watch that scene at the end of Rogue One. It was so what I've been dying for my whole life to see Vader. Nailed it.
I mean, that's rough because when I was watching that last episode of Clone Wars, like an hour ago or 2 hours ago, I was just blown away by how much power within the Force he had, with Maul going through, and he was throwing people,
Well, and you have to think, and I thought about this after I watched it the second time, is that all of the Jedi pretty much just got murdered. So the dark side of the Force took over at that point. So he had a lot of power just from the Force.
Well, didn't you say earlier, though, it balances? It's always in constant balance.
But not that quick.
I was saying that, and I agree, it is.
That's a really interesting point. I was blown away the way he was just effortlessly running through, and the amount that I'm sorry, spoilers. I'm going to stop talking about that one just because I don't think everyone watched it. So
I think you should talk about that, Bill.
Okay. Since we're still on this, I think it is a little underrated because his character wasn't very flattering, in my opinion. But Dooku versus Yoda actually was a pretty good fight scene. I think Dooku is a poor character. So I think, but like that scene, even when he was fighting off Obi-Wan and Anakin, and then not the one later on where Dooku dies, for him to flee. That was actually a really good fight scene, and where you kind of also get to saw Yoda fight a little bit.
I think that's also it has a heart jerk to it too, because that Dooku used to be the Padawan to Yoda. It's much in the same when you watch Obi-Wan have to fight Vader, and the same kind of having to watch somebody you trained now is trying to come kill you is kind of has that little extra piece behind it.
Sorry, I just saw a comment that Avery posted in there, and I agree with him 100%.
It wasn't hit. Well, his lightsaber was crooked. It's
bent.
Yeah,
designed that way.
It was a cane, basically. Will brought up a good point. I would have killed to see Yoda versus Maul.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Yoda would have handled him.
Yeah, I think
I'd agree.
Split down the center instead of across the
Just
face.
put it in
He would have took his little green hand and just tickled him. It would have been great.
Oh, Kevin, I got a comment for you. Boba Fett is the worst character in Star Wars.
I disagree. That's not. I mean, all right.
Coming from Jeff.
Jeff, I know he knows his comics. I know Jeff. I respect Jeff. Boba Fett is essentially what the clones were, but not as good. I mean, he was a marksman. I mean, there are plenty of marksmen out there, but Boba Fett, if you read some of the books, I've read some of the books. I mean, he's a notorious character. If you like him, you like him. If you don't, you don't. Can he be overrated to some people? Yeah, but as far as a non-Force user, I think he's one of the best out there for sure.
And he definitely got the best schooling from just the school of hard knocks of life. I mean, he got a little bit of exposure to clone training. His dad, then he goes and like hangs out with Aura Singh and Bosk and runs around with them. I mean, he's got some pretty like well-rounded background. Maybe not necessarily Jedi, but as far as bounty hunters go, he's pretty much running with some pretty badass bounty hunters for a while.
I mean, his fire's awesome. His ship's awesome. I mean, his credentials are there. Like, I mean, he is feared for a reason. Like, I understand if you don't like him because a lot of people hype him, and that's how it's been since I was a kid. But I like the mysteriousness about him. Obviously, we know more since the earlier episodes came out. But I think he's definitely best bounty hunter. I mean, he was. Technically, I don't know. Did he come out? I don't know. It's still lore. We don't know.
So I threw this question out, but do you guys think he's going to show up in The Mandalorian?
Yes, he better be.
No.
So Mandalorian is supposed to take place, I think, 9 years after Episode 6.
Yeah.
So if he got eaten by the Sarlacc, he's dead. He's out.
Well, yeah, I read that series. So if you read the series, he gets out, obviously. But the thing about it is, if they have him come, they're going to put him for sure coming back off as long as they can, because the mystery just adds to it. And if they do, it will be hyped up big time because he is a big fan favorite, whether you like him or not. He's polarizing. He's like Tom Brady of football. You either love him or you hate him. Like, he's a polarizing character.
If they put him in Mandalorian, they're definitely going to tease him somewhere, just for a blip second, so you can see him like standing over Din Djarin or whatever, and you're like, "Oh crap, there he is!" And then it's over.
In Episode 7, they were showing Mandalorian armor in like preset pictures, and people were freaking out. I remember that, and I never saw Mando gear the whole Episode 7, so I'm like, I don't know what this is about. Like, people, like somebody was just faking pictures, I guess. But yeah, I mean, like, people will freak out. It'll be huge.
Well, and I think also at this point, too, if they're going to put Boba Fett in The Mandalorian, it's going to kind of overshadow The Mandalorian, which is why I think they won't do it. Yeah. Whether I think Boba Fett is alive or not, I just don't think they're going to put him in because it's going to overshadow. Maybe, Ryan, like what you said, like a really small Easter egg, something where it's not going to take over.
Or maybe they go to Tatooine and they just bump into each other in the thing and be like, "Hey, what are you doing?"
That would be cool.
But also, like, giving Boba Fett too much of any background or, foreground, I guess, at this point, also kind of, like you said, removes the allure at this point. Like, the mystery of, is he alive? Isn't he? That's kind of like a big part of his character at this point.
And they don't have to, because it's in the legends now, as we know. And then if they officially come out with something, then it means they've made an official statement. So the less they say, the more they can leave it as like, well, it is what it is. So
yeah, the more arguments that like this that can take place, and that just hypes it up even more for people to keep watching more Star Wars.
So I'm just pointing out that I got the slave one back here. That's all I'm saying.
So Jeff brings up another comment that I don't agree with, but I do want to talk about it. Spaceballs is better than all the Star Wars.
No.
He's trolling us. Yeah, I know Jeff way better than that. He's just trolling us.
Okay, even then, it's not better than the Star Wars movies, but
it's hilarious. But
it's entertaining. I heard they were supposed to be coming out with a second one at some point, though. Like, when is that going to happen? Like,
I heard that too. I don't know if it's going to. It's supposed to be like original cast too.
That would be awesome. Got to bring Pizza the Hut back,
Just as mad they don't have a toilet in that any Star Wars movie.
He probably is salty about that. Did I get to everyone with their favorite lightsaber fight?
Yeah. So Brian, there's one more thing.
Sure.
There's a comment from Avery Parrish.
This one?
Yep, that one.
Yep, that's an easy one.
Yeah.
Those are just the lightsabers he collects from the Jedi he kills, because he has more than just those ones.
Yeah, so they go into that quite a bit in Clone Wars. When he's facing off with Jedi, he talks about, "I'd love to add yours to the collection." I think he said to Ahsoka at one point.
Yeah, he's got them all hiding in his cloak. He's got like 10 or 12 more.
Yeah,
he's got the goods.
He creeped me out because the whole reptilian thing with the robotics mix was like, it just creeped me out for some reason.
I got major spider vibes from that scene, and I'm like, oh,
RoboCop 2, RoboCop 2, right there.
Like they.
If you watch Clone Wars, they go into a lot more about Grievous and his whole little base and all of his armor and his parts and stuff. It's actually a lot more creepy in the animated series it is in the book.
Oh, great. Well, I haven't got this Clone Wars yet because there's like 700 episodes. So
it's only like 73 hours of watch time, Brian. Just get through it. What else are you going to do? We're stuck at home, pretty much.
That's true.
Well, I'm at work. So
I'm actually still. I actually got off work at 8, so I'm still working at home. So
I'm still at work.
I know that, but you're also building Legos. That's not technically work. That's fun.
It is fun.
So let's move on to the next question because I know Becca's been looking forward to this one. What is your most, or no, actually Bill too. What is your most prized Star Wars possession?
I was not looking forward to this one.
Well, let's have you go first. Get out of the way.
All right. So mine is actually this shirt. It's from Secrets of the Empire. So we went to we were at Disney Springs and they had this immersive VR experience, and I was hemming and hawing whether or not I wanted to do it. And the guy hooked me when he's like, "Well, you'll actually be part of Star Wars canon." And I looked at my wife and I'm like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to do this now." There's no way I'm not doing it now. So actually, that's where I got my hoodie from too. But yeah, that's my prize one. I didn't really collect like toys or anything like that to be able to, add to it. But yeah, that would be the prized possession. It's more a memory of the experience. It's really cool. You get to go and be a rebel, disguised as a stormtrooper. You're looking at the other 3 people that are going through it with you, and you can actually see them in real time. If you're anywhere near a void, and that sounded weird. If you're anywhere near one of those void facilities, though, check them out. That is a really, really cool experience. I mean, I think the whole thing is maybe 15 minutes, and it's amazing.
Awesome. Now, were you in that video you sent me earlier, Bill, for that?
No, that was just a promo that I was showing you what it was.
Gotcha. I didn't know if you were actually in that actual video. Who wants to take it next? Shanna, you want to go next? You got a million options over here.
Yes.
So I guess you'll go next.
That was 1,000,001.
All right. So this one is actually so prized, but it's actually still in the packaging. So this is a Princess Leia Organa Platinum Edition. So this was actually a convention exclusive. And this was, I think, a Sandy. I forget which one. But this is a convention exclusive. And so this one is these are Forces of Destiny dolls. So what they are is they're basically dolls that are based off of the Star Wars female characters, some male, but mostly focused on the female characters. And they do like little mini Disney clip shorts of like the retelling of the stories. They even you learn more about Star Wars. Obviously, you get extra information that you don't get from the movies. And, it's really girly Star Wars. And it's like awesome because they make, dolls with their Star Wars. And that's the best part.
I don't make dolls with Star Wars characters, but I'm sure your kids do. And I'm sure maybe Becca might actually get her girls into them.
Yes, definitely. That's starting tomorrow.
Oh, boy.
Kevin, Ryan, who wants to go next?
Kevin can go next. Or Becca can go next.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I couldn't get my son's TIE Fighter out because I'm afraid of breaking it and him killing me. But I mean, it's one of the big Lego sets that was from years ago, and he put it together when he was like 5 or 6. So I thought that was pretty decent for a 5 or 6-year-old to put together. But around that same time, I actually knew a woman that made wooden toys, like all different things. I got my daughter when she was younger, a Frozen one, but she like cut out a Millennium Falcon, and then you could buy all these different pegs, like dolls for it. So like I got the Stormtrooper because my son is still obsessed with Stormtroopers, R2-D2, and then I also got Han Solo. He didn't like Chewie at the time, but I thought they were super cute and it's super unique. It's not like what you can get around like the store and whatnot.
I like that Baby Yoda shirt too. You can get it at Target, she said.
Target in the men's section because they had better shirts.
They
do.
always
They
have better
do.
shirts.
I know.
They
I
really do.
ramen noodle hoodie in there. I was like, oh, this is awesome.
What about you, Kevo?
Brian, you'll remember these. I have a lot of Star Wars Legos. I have a Star Wars tattoo, but I think probably one I had.
Tattoo, Kev.
So I have my probably most prized one though is I spent a lot of time as a kid. It really got me to Darth Vader. I don't know, probably can't even see it that well. Okay, so but my favorite one is if you know Magic, the Gathering, there was a Star Wars card game back in the 90s. It was called Star Wars Customizable Card Game. I spent a lot of time not really playing, just collecting them and a lot. And I have like all the collections for the original 4, 5, and 6 episodes. Like I got 2 binders worth. And yeah, so I kept it after all these years just because, stuff like there's all your little Ewoks and stuff and some Han Solo. Yeah. And so, yeah, I just collected it like Jedi Knight, Luke Skywalker and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's probably my most. I don't really get a whole lot of memorabilia or anything, but back in the day, that was mine.
That's cool.
Great organization, Kevin.
Hey, you had to.
Yeah. And I did play Magic the Gathering ever since it came out, so I know exactly what you're talking about. 5th edition was the best.
I never played Magic, but we tried playing this, and it was entertaining. But I just like the cards actually have tidbits, and a lot of them aren't even in the movies, just relating to the species or the scenes and things like that. It actually made me learn a lot about Star Wars just by reading the cards. So I don't know, just I don't know. It's just that was what I did as a kid,
Awesome. That's awesome.
How about you, Ryan?
I have kind of a toss-up here between 2, and both of them came from Star Wars Celebration Chicago this year. I'm going to go in order of I'm going to say the best for the last, I guess. So one of which I actually have them here was a photo that my buddies and I got to take, and I'm sure everybody should be able to recognize the 2 gentlemen on the ends.
Woohoo!
So of course that's Hayden Christensen and Ian McDermott. They're great guys. Ian is super nice. A lot of people were saying how gentlemanly he is, even though he's the emperor. And he's super, super, super nice. But I would say the one that I got most is Billy D. Williams' autograph.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, we waited in line. He wasn't having a good day that day, and he's definitely getting old. We had some friends that wanted to go see Peter Mayhew, and I think it was actually the day that Peter was sick, and then came back the next day. So luckily, they got to get their photos still with him before he passed. But I was like, man, it's like who's here from the original cast? I could still get some signatures and stuff with. So I got his. I also got Freddie Prinze Jr.'s over there. But then the side little note, it's probably the best little button I got from Celebration is actually this little one of Princess Leia with a little teddy bear Wookiee.
Oh.
This was actually done by a tattoo artist. He was making them live there, so it actually is hand drawn. It's not a print.
Oh, that's cool.
So, but that was my my prize for my little buttons from Celebration. But of course, I do have other Lego stuff, but these are worth more to me than those because those come with memories. I think the memories are more important.
I agree.
Well, I mean, you do have the limited edition giant Millennium Falcon at your store too, Ryan?
Oh, no, it's yeah, the box for it's right here.
How many pieces does that have?
7,541. Yeah.
How long did it take to build? Oh my god!
I got it done in 19 and a half hours.
Ooh,
The set is actually on the other side of the store. We have it on display here every once in a while, but it weighs 28 pounds.
Wow.
And yes, I have swished it across the store. If you know what swishability is in Lego sets, I have flown it across the store. And customers gave me weird looks.
That's
But I'm a Star Wars fan, so they could,
Exactly. So I actually don't have my favorite prized possession anymore. I posted it on my profile picture, but I have lost it. It's basically like a black hat with a metal Death Star logo. Oh man, that hat was so awesome because like I think I got it from like Spencer's or something. So I'm gonna try to see if I can find it. But I looked on Target, I looked on Spencer's website, I looked on Hot Topic, I looked on eBay. I'm like, damn it, I can't get this hat. I might have to get it at C2E2 next year if they have it. Again, but yeah, man, that hat was so awesome. I mean, my daughter got me a Star Wars throw pillow that I have on my couch, and we got the throw blankets and stuff. But I'm actually wearing Chewbacca slippers right now too, so that's funny. So, but yeah, that's mine. So let's get to the next question.
Wait, did Bill answer his?
Bill?
Yeah, you got a whole experience, man. Where you at, Ryan? You care about us, my.
I've been here since 7 a.m. Give me a break.
Excuses.
All right, so the next question: since the Skywalker series,
Sorry, that's my new screen. You can just talk to this picture.
Hey, Bill, you got the same screen as him.
All right, so next question is: since the Skywalker series has ended, did you come away satisfied with the conclusion from Episode 9? So this is what I told Ryan to hold off on earlier. So curious in you guys' thoughts, how you guys came away from Episode 9.
Someone else go first.
I came away pretty satisfied. I feel like you're never going to walk away 100% satisfied because there's always going to be something more you want. Star Wars is so big, you're never going to be able to like completely wrap up, I think, everything. But overall, I walked away happy.
I agree.
I agree.
Oh no, I mean you got your little bit of a happy ending, but you got a little bit of a sad, like Ben redeems himself and then he dies and sacrifices himself for Rey. Sorry, spoilers. But then Rey, I feel like she went from like a nobody in her opinion, and she found herself and declared herself a Skywalker. So I feel like it had the duality of both. So I was happy with it.
For what they did, okay, this is the guy obviously going to leave. For what they did, I was mostly satisfied. I kind of felt bitter that because I do think you kind of mentioned a question like I think Ben did kind of redeem himself, but I wish he wouldn't have died. I kind of wish he would have stayed alive. Like
the Romeo and Juliet ending.
Like I didn't need to see any more. I just wish he would have been alive. And it's like, okay, it's fine. And like I did want that. However, I actually remember some material. I didn't always read it, but I remember some material before 7, 8, 9 came out. So some of those storylines I liked a lot better than what they did. So as compared to that, I would have rather seen the other stuff. Mara Jade was a character I was infatuated with. I thought she was really cool and how she affected Luke. So for me, I wish they would have won that route. But for what they did, I think if you didn't, you were none the wiser. I thought it was fairly satisfactory. Yeah, I mean, but I grew up 4, 5, or 6 for life. What can I say?
I'll go next. So my thought was, yes, I came away satisfied for the most part, but I think Rian Johnson is horrible, and I think Episode 8.
Well, we're talking 9. Why are you jumping to 8?
No, because that has to do with that.
It does.
So Episode 8 did a horrible job of setting up Episode 9 to have an epic finale. I came away satisfied, but I thought like adding in more training with Kylo and Rey, showing more of the actual Sith, which they did, but it felt rushed in 9. The Knights of Ren could have been such a plot line in 8 they could have set up going into 9. So I came away like a 7 out of 10 after watching it. I enjoyed it because it's Star Wars, but I think they could have had it like blow everyone away if they set it up properly in 8. And that's where, to me, I think they did a good job, but it was rushed to fit everything in 9. They could have did a better job of spacing that out and building on those stories a lot better. So, but I did came away happy. I wish they would have, JJ should have done all three, but that's my opinion.
I
Agreed.
100% agree.
Yeah.
The baton pass really did not help.
No. Bill, you want to go next or you want me to go?
Yeah, I can go. Yeah,
You go first if you want.
I hate the question because it was bittersweet. I thought there was a lot of patronizing to the fans in 9, and I felt that they were really trying to make up for all the disappointment in 8. And like I wasn't a huge fan of number 9. Part of it was because Brian spoiled it.
Oh fuck!
But yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of number 9, and it was a shame because I walked out of The Force Awakens like they finally got Star Wars right again. And then 8 happened, and then Solo happened, which I didn't like, and then 9, and it's like really, I was really disappointed with those last 2 movies. And I mean, Solo I rewatched. It's growing on me, but I mean, really, what redeemed Star Wars for me was Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing the direction that took and the telling of that Star Wars story, really made a difference. Okay, that's enough of my face now.
Yeah, I don't want to see it much more either, Bill.
Yeah.
Ouch.
I'm just kidding.
So,
All
all right, just real quick, don't show me, just leave it on the 6. But yeah, so Brian did spoil episode 9 to me. Like within all right.
I feel like a Brady Bunch right now.
Yeah, well, that's what I just felt like.
We all got to look at each other.
Right. So, really, you have no one on that side.
All right, look to my left, and Brian's.
So, really hard thing with that was I walked into Star Wars, episode 9, thinking I was going to hate it already, because I saw a meme that Brian posted with Kylo Ren and them kissing, and Finn looking at them like, "Oh, what about me?" And at that point, I was so mad at Brian. I don't think I talked to him for like 4 days, like at least 4 days.
Man, I'm jealous.
Wait. Why weren't you there at the premiere is the real question.
That's what I was.
Good question.
I was trying to find out what the spoiler rule was. Like, how long do you have to wait?
At least a week. You got
I waited
30 days.
2.
30 days.
You waited 2 weeks.
30 days? Nah.
30 days.
I'm
30
just
days.
saying that's your own fault. If you're such a big Star Wars fan, you should have went to the release. So quit your bitching.
You need to be up to candidate.
I'm so glad to be talking about.
Well, Brian and I, we've gone to the premieres no matter. I'm like, dude, it's the day it's coming out. We're there no matter what. I'm like,
You
It's a freaking holiday, bro.
deal with it.
yeah, it's celebration day.
All right, so I guess that leaves me then. So episode 9. I kind of have to go off of what a little bit of Bill's thing, in the fact that we talked earlier about how some of the movies essentially got spoiled after 8. The whole thing with Snoke, and then like not knowing who it was, and then they're like, oh hey, by the way, he was a clone. That okay, nobody cares.
Yeah.
And then the build up for the Knights of Ren, and everybody for 8 was like, oh yeah, we're gonna see the Knights of Ren kick some ass and stuff at 9. It's gonna be amazing. They were BS characters, man. They were a placeholder. You could have used another 20 minutes for something else. The ending where with Kylo or Ben and Rey and everything, I like the fact that it was like a Shakespearean ending and whatever. And do I think he redeemed himself? No, but did he changed sides and finally realized who he was? Yes. So I guess that's more important that he finally found himself.
Why do you
Are you figuring this out right now as you're going?
Well, it's like if you ask if I was satisfied, like you guys were bringing up like all the sequel movies after 7, after Force Awakens, I thought Force Awakens was an awesome continuation of the story. I was like, this is awesome. This is going to be a great ending. It's going to be great. And then JJ said, you know what? This was a lot of stress doing this. I'm not doing this anymore. Whatever. And of course, then he did Star Trek. So then Rian Johnson comes in, and I'm sorry, it was a decent movie, but Rian Johnson basically crapped on all of what JJ did, and then ruined it. And then JJ had to not only come back because nobody wanted Rian Johnson back, and
he lost his trilogy.
Yeah, well, but then you continue on, and now JJ has to come back after the backlash of 8 and Solo to try to save the reputation of Star Wars. But not only that, but this is the end of the movie, the whole thing. And, he has to wrap up all these stupid ends that Rian Johnson made. So that was a blow off of like 40 minutes. And, like you said, they could have gotten a lot more into Kylo Ren. They could have gotten a lot more into the whole training thing. I think Luke should have had a little bit of a better thing for it. I mean, 8 ruined Luke. I'm not going to say it, but 8 completely ruined Luke Skywalker.
Agreed.
And it's one of those things where, like what Bill was saying, I honestly wish that 9 would have been 3.5 hours long, 3.5 to 4 hours long.
Agreed.
Yes.
I would have sat there, they could have easily put a half an hour.
That would have been awesome.
Titanic had intermission in the theaters. Yeah. I was there for it, so I know.
Same with the extended versions of Lord of the Rings. If you got to see one of those in theater, they could have easily done it, and I thought that's why they did Avengers Endgame at 3 hours to test can they sit through this for Star Wars 9. And then I went there and it was like, oh, it's 2 hours and 40 minutes. Okay.
We made it 5 or 6 hours. No problem. Let's do it.
Right?
My Taco Bell I snuck in my pocket. Let's do this.
Everybody asks, could it have been better? Absolutely. It could have been great. It could have been a beautifully done movie. I think Dave Filoni should have been involved in it. They should have brought his action and stuff into it and his storytelling because he learned directly from Lucas. Right. And if you're not going to have Lucas involved, Dave Filoni should have been there. 100%. I mean, hell, Dave Filoni should have directed 8, not freaking Rian Johnson.
Absolutely.
And
let's be honest, though. In reality, I don't think no matter who directed it, no matter who did anything, fans weren't going to be happy. I don't think people want to be happy about it at all. I truly don't. Like,
you know what?
I want to see it.
Maybe some fans, but I wanted to be happy about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we all care about what
you can say all fans, right? And we talked earlier about how people just kind of hate on stuff. I wanted to be happy with it.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I for what it was, I thought it was satisfactory, but that's like middle ground. Like I wanted to be excited and
wanted to be blown away.
Well, yeah, and
it ended.
Yeah, definitely.
I cannot tell you. Once I heard Disney was buying Star Wars, and the first thing they announced was 7, 8, 9. I lost my mind. I was at work. I worked in parasitology at a vet lab, and I lost my mind. Like I was like, "This is amazing! I'm super excited!" Like, and then it's like you heard the storylines were going to change, and it's like, well, what are we going to see? And like you guys said, I thought 7 started with. I knew what 7 was. 7 was what it was. It was like a kind of paying respects to previous works, and I thought that was amazing. And then I knew there was – see, people always say, oh, J.J. Abrams and then Rian Johnson. Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams were in talks from the beginning. What happened from 7 to 8? Everyone blames just Rian Johnson. I don't think it was just Rian Johnson. People like it was actually there was a third director that was on board planning it from the get-go who backed out after J.J. Abrams had the issue he did.
There were directors and writers everywhere that either quit or got fired.
So it wasn't one person. It wasn't just Rian Johnson doing it. Well, I think Abrams has the benefit of the doubt that if he had any of those ideas, Rian Johnson took all the credit, no matter what you say.
So here's the thing, and maybe you guys feel differently. So, of course, 7 was basically a rehash of 4. Let's be honest.
In a way.
A lot of the story was almost the same. And
there's a lot of beats that were very similar.
it was nice because it was a rehash of kind of what happened, and it had a lot of symmetry with what happened before, which is what Dave Filoni does a lot in his shows, and it works wonderfully. But let's say after 7, it was like, okay, well, this is a lot like 4. So everybody complained that it was too much like the originals. So that's why they changed the story for Rian Johnson, because everybody was complaining it was the same thing, and they said, we need something new. So Rian Johnson took his own ideas and made something new, and nobody liked it. And so really, it's not Rian Johnson to blame. It's all the fans that were pissed off that that 7 was too much the same.
But I mean,
because that's what dictated the change.
But to Kevin's point, they had a ton of materials that became legend that they could have pulled from.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
But they chose to ignore that. They chose to ignore that, and that's why I said it's for me. It's like I know there was better material out there for sure. Right. Already in Star Wars. It's not like they were pulling like new ideas. They could have used some of that, and that's why for me, it's never gonna fit that bill because I like that other stuff better.
Well, they were teasing that Rey was supposed to be like a new incarnation of Mara Jade too, for a long time.
Or that Rey was more of an incarnation, I'd say, of like Jaina Solo.
Mm-hmm.
Jaina Solo is who ends up killing Jason Solo. Like so you've got that female light side, male dark side kind of opposition. I thought that kind of was more reminiscent.
Yeah, they were supposed to pull from like 3 or 4 characters that were supposed to entitle into Rey. And that's why nobody knew which way it was going to go, because everybody was hearing all these rumors like, oh, it's going to be part of her. It's going to be this. It's going to be a newer version of this. And then for a long time, if you guys play Battlefront at all, if you're going to go back to the video game comments from earlier, Battlefront 2 has an awesome storyline that's canon.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody thought, oh, Mara Jade's the daughter, Rey's going to be the daughter of them. And I was like, because they went to Jakku, they had a daughter, they talked about leaving her there and this. And it was hyped up for like 8 months. Like, oh, we finally know who Rey's parents are, but nobody's going to say it. And then, was 8 happened? And like, oh, nope, it's not her. It's not them. And it's like, oh, well, there goes that theory.
All right, well, we're going to actually start wrapping up, but I wanted to throw out to you guys, if you guys wanted to ask any questions, the group. I know Kevin said he wanted to ask a question, so I'll put him up first.
Yeah, I am intrigued. What movie or even show, like what next big production? Obviously, movie's a lot shorter, not considering a trilogy. Would you like to see done? I know personally, I would love to see in Ahsoka at least a movie. I think that would be pretty phenomenal, and I would be okay if they did a Sith show, so you can see kind of some background of what it's like to see Sith training, Sith, just anything of that, whether it be Rule of 2 or even before that. So I think like I want to see new stuff, like not the same old characters, but new, like related to it. Like if you want to talk about Mandalorians, like they're just not focusing on Boba Fett or even Jango Fett, like related but totally different aspects. That's what I would like to see personally. So Ahsoka or something like that.
I agree with Kevin. I would definitely like to see some more Sith background or Sith training. That would be amazing to see, because like in 9, when they went into freaking Vader's temple and you see all these like worshipers and stuff, I was losing my mind. I was like getting like, oh God, this is crazy. This is a crazy cult of Sith people. Just, I thought that was like amazing storytelling, and you have Palpatine, on the freaking, spiked freaking throne and everything.
McQuarrie throne.
Yeah, that thing. But I thought doing a movie like that, because it kind of reminds me of like Batman. When they first came out, they were kind of all like cheesy and stuff like that. But when they came out later and told the stories, they were a lot darker. Not saying that Star Wars has been obviously cheesy, but I think if they go more in the, exploring the dark side and showing the training, I think that would be awesome.
I agree. I think that, like I said,
Lip sync it.
Come on, Brian. I think that a lot of the films were geared towards viewing it as the rebels as the good guys, and I would love to see the bad side. Like focus on the Sith, focus on their training and how they fight the Jedi, because I feel like it's a different perspective that we don't see.
Yeah.
You know,
A dark side
like
trilogy.
right. Kind of how they did like the Joker. They really focused on more of the bad guy side of it, but also the good guys, but more from the focus of the bad guys. So I kind of like to see the bad side.
I'd also like to see some force wielders that aren't necessarily like Jedi or Sith, like even like focus on the bad guys. Like what about like the Night Sisters on Mustafar? Like they're not Sith, but they still kind of harness this dark side force magic. I want to see stuff about that. Give us more explanation of, how even the force is used as religion or culture, how even some of these species are able to tap into the force more than, humans who are not force sensitive. I just want to see more of that.
Are those like gray Jedis? I'm not too familiar. Is that what those are? Or no?
No, they're like an in-between for the Sith kind of thing.
They're these witches on Mustafar who harness the dark side of the force for their magic.
Gotcha.
So for me, I would say there were rumors about another trilogy happening, and I was really excited for it until it got canceled. Was kind of a Knights of the Old Republic trilogy. Going back, I would love to see Darth Revan on screen.
Keanu!
I would love to see him with Malgus having it out. I would love to see, all the old Jedi Guardians with all the yellow double lightsabers, the Temple Guardians just going to town on each other. High of the Era and stuff. I really would love to see that. I know they have the New Republic books out, but Old Republic movies would be top notch, my opinion. And Ahsoka for sure. I'm glad you brought that up, Kevin, because Ahsoka coming up in Mandalorian season 2. I'm psyched for, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm really pissed off that my girl Ashley Eckstein is not voicing her. I don't care who acted her, because she cannot play Ahsoka in real life, but she should still be the voice. She should still be the voice.
I agree. I feel like they should do it like they did with Darth Vader, a voice actor and a body actor.
Yeah. That's my girl right there.
They were talking about the chick from the MCU. I can't remember what. I remember who played that Supergirl or something like that, or
Rosario Dawson.
Yeah,
So Captain Marvel. I've heard they haven't named her, but her name has come up, and I'm like, I don't see it.
Yeah, Rosario Dawson got hired to play Ahsoka for Mandalorian.
It is what it is.
She's got the darker skin, so they can get the paint job done.
I felt it's like, all right, it is what it is.
Bill, do you want to comment on it at all?
So I'd like to see something along the lines of like the Force Unleashed, the video game, where Darth Vader actually kind of takes an apprentice. I forget exactly how it all played out. But back to seeing how the Sith worked and seeing, the whole rule of 2 and really diving into that history would be good. I mean, that would be really cool if it was shot almost like a Green Lantern type thing where they're doing flashbacks, showing different aspects of the Sith. Would be cool.
The character's name is like Sky something, right? Scott played it. And I think the most iconic thing about that game, which was really cool, was I think it was Darth Vader. He was taking down a Star Destroyer. That was really cool.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that. So I was like, okay, that's awesome.
I think it'd be really funny if there was a fan-made Jawa documentary.
I'd watch it.
Life on the Sandcrawler.
I'd watch it.
3-hour documentary of Star Wars Jawa.
Or an adult version, that would be hilarious.
That would be amazing, dude.
I think it'd be hilarious.
It'd be like a History Channel show.
You can almost make it like a mockumentary, though. Day 38, they're just sitting there in the sand crawler, just blowing out their mind.
Yeah, the track up and they have to repair it.
So I'm saying, you gotta fix those tracks, man. Who's the track repair guy?
Yeah. I am totally in. That'd
be great.
You had me sold at Jawas.
But it would have to be a documentary, not like a movie, but it'd be a Star Wars. I
definitely need the guy from National Geographic to come in and narrate it because he's the best narrating voice for it.
Oh my god.
Mike Rowe, how about that? Get Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs, whatever. He did a lot of stuff for that channel too.
No, he'd be okay. I'll take that.
How about
Okay,
Morgan Freeman?
Yes,
Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman's my all-time fave for
What
narration.
would be the person's role? What would be the person's role if they were on there? Are they straight documentary? Like, what would be the?
Yeah, no, it would be Star Wars: The Life on a Sandcrawler, the story of the Jawas, announced by Morgan. My name is Morgan Freeman.
Like
and just go through it all.
They got the camera like watching them steal shit from people.
But of course the camera's always down because he's 6'2" and they're 3'4". So it's gonna be like, oh, this is how they trudge along.
You could also make it like an episode of Pawn Shop at the Jawas.
Oh, there you go. Yes.
That American Restoration or whatever, where they go just steal a bunch of crap off a ship.
American Pickers.
Start selling it at the yard.
Oh my god!
Come to our Java yard sale.
Becca gets a 5% cut of all these shows.
I got so much crap from Brian for saying that they are my favorite. Like last night when I told him today during the day, he's like, I don't think we can be friends anymore. Like serious shade, but
Not there.
it's awesome. I'm just telling you.
Now he even likes them. He wants
Exactly.
I mean, they're kind of growing on me. I'm not gonna lie. Like after these show pitches, if they don't happen, I'll be really disappointed.
You're welcome, Brian.
Okay.
All right, so we're.
Some of the only more impressive costumes. Jawas actually have pretty impressive costumes. I've seen some live births. Tusken Raiders are really impressive if they can pull it off. I've seen a couple of Tusken Raiders they're really good. And then of course try pronouncing one of their names. I can't even do it. So.
All right, so we're going to move on to the lightning round, everyone, because we're going to start wrapping up here a little bit. So basically, I just kind of want one-word thoughts or answers, not really discussion for this part. So you're just going to kind of, on the fly, say what's on your mind, okay? So I'll just go across the board. I'll go Ryan, Becca, and then Bill. Just keep doing that because there's 7 or 8 questions, okay? So who shot first? Ryan?
Totally Han.
Absolutely hands down Han.
Bill?
Solo.
Who cares?
We clearly do.
I don't care. I don't.
All right, Han for me as well. So favorite lightsaber color? I'm gonna go red. Ryan?
Honestly, I like green, but more specifically, Luke, Jedi Knight green. And it looks really good with the black. Gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Mm-hmm.
I go with red. It looks badass against the black.
Bill?
I'm torn between like that black blade and
That's a Mando thing, though. Really.
Yeah.
what was that?
That's more of a Mando thing.
But it's a Jedi, though. It's a Mandalorian Jedi.
But it's more of a Mando. I'm just saying, it's more of a Mando thing.
The blade color.
It's still blade color.
It is a lightsaber.
It's still a
All
lightsaber.
right, so what's the other one, Bill? Torn between that and what?
And purple. I like that. I like that it's unique. It's the only one that we know of in the galaxy, right? Just because Samuel L. Jackson said so.
You know what it says on it, right? It says bad MFer. You know it.
Right. That's right.
All right, Shanna, you?
I'm gonna go with white. I like Ahsoka's blades. I think they're pretty rocking.
Okay. Kev?
I really like Luke Skywalker, green, kind of like with the black. It's kind of like you could see he was torn between, the good and bad. So I was like, oh, that's really good. Purple, red. I don't really have one. I like orange too. Orange I like too, but probably something on the borderlines of like they're about to lose control, like Luke's with the green is kind of like it's more of a look than it's necessarily the lightsaber color. It's kind of both for me. So
Why don't you collect them all, like General Grievous, and just keep them in?
I'm not a big fan of blue. I'm not a big fan of blue. Blue's kind of yellows, kind of Republic, kind of like. So yeah, it's more of a sense of that. And red is red. Actually, there's different shades of red, even if you really want to get technical. So, but we won't do that. But yeah, I would go with like a dark green.
If I had to pick a second color, I'd go old school orange.
Yeah,
Which has never been in the movies yet.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next question. How about Favorite planet in Star Wars? I'm gonna say mine's definitely got to be Hoth. Ryan,
Ooh.
favorite planet in Star Wars?
Really good.
Oh.
Quick answers. Just whatever's
All
on
right.
top of your
You
mind.
provided them first. That's
Oh, this one improv. Brandon would be happy.
What is? Why am I having such a brain fart? The home of the Jedi Council building.
Coruscant?
Yes, thank you, Coruscant. Because of the layers.
Okay, Becca.
No, I'm having a brain fart. This is so scary. I hate thinking this.
Where did Jawas come from? Make it easy.
No, that's too like deserty. I don't like that.
That could be a very involved question.
Well, yeah. I don't know. Can I pass? Come back.
No, we're not coming back. You gotta pick.
Where was the festival in the 42 year?
Everywhere. It was
The
actually
Yaki Festival?
What did you say?
it was everywhere. Actually, they were celebrating everywhere. Which one you
No,
talking
where did Ray go? In
Probably 9 you're talking about, right?
yeah, in 9. Yeah, where did she go?
Pasana.
Yeah, I don't want to go there and party.
Okay.
I know it only happens every 40.
AKA Jordan
Yeah, me neither.
in real life.
How about you, Bill? Favorite planet?
I would say Alderaan, but
You went there.
in all seriousness, probably Hoth, even though I don't like the temperature. It's just some of my most favorite parts of any of the movies is the Battle of Hoth. In Rogue Squadron, I would just keep replaying that level over and over again in the A wing, going around the AT-AT. So, yeah.
How about you, Shanna?
If we're gonna go with canon planets, Naboo.
Okay. Kevin?
Is Death Star an option? Because that's pretty baller. But if not, I would probably say Tatooine because it has so many different iconic scenes. So I like Jabba's palace a lot. A lot of those scenes are really cool there. So
Definitely. Okay, next question. If you were to become a droid, which one would you be? I'm going IG-88.
oh, that's cheap.
Like specific droid?
You can pick which droid you want, but if you could become a droid, which one would you be?
I'd go R2. He's seeing some action.
That's true. Storytelling.
I'd go see
Okay.
Theo. He's a smart ass and I like it.
I was thinking, Becca, more for you, the mouse droid, but Bill, go ahead. Yes.
Why is it pick on me night?
Oh, we're not.
I don't. That's not nice. All right. So, I would say AG-88, but that's because I like shooting. So.
Can I be the probe droid? I mean, that's like a
Sure, you can be the probe droid. Absolutely, it's a droid. So, Kev,
That's terrible. Terrible.
You know what? I'm gonna take the death on this one. Roger. I'm going with the
He's going B1 battle droid.
Yes, that's awesome. All right, let's go to favorite Star Wars vehicle. I'm gonna have to go with my nephew on this one. Maybe not the Chicken Walker, but the AT-AT. I'm definitely going with that. Favorite Star Wars vehicle, right?
I would go Nabooian Starfighter.
I like the Millennium Falcon. I don't know why. It's
It's a
iconic.
hunk of junk.
Maybe that's why I like it.
Probably.
I'd have to say probably a TIE fighter,
Which one?
like classic,
Okay.
not the bomber, just
Not
straight up
how advanced,
TIE fighter.
nothing like that.
Okay.
They have a skin car, so many other ones. Just curious.
No, just classic, regular, land, basic.
All right, Shanna, you?
Naboo Royal Starship. I just love like the bubbly look of it all. I think that's like on top of the prequels, just like being like, in my childhood, all of that like bubbly kind of like starship feel. I love all of that kind of look. Like even with just regular cars, that like big, long, sleek, bubbly look. I'm all about it.
It's a very retro 50s feminine look.
It's just not pink.
Favorite vehicle?
I like Slave One.
Slave One. No, that was predictable.
Name another ship like it. Name anything like it. It starts one way, goes.
That's very true. So, okay, last lightning round question. Would you be a Jedi or a Sith? I'm going Sith, baby. Right?
I would have to say Jedi.
I'd go Sith. I want to be the bad guy.
I'd probably go with neither. I'd probably be more along the lines of Ahsoka by the time she gets.
You got to pick one, Jedi or Sith, Bill.
Why do I have to pick one? He never picked one when it was the Empire or Rebels.
There's only two sides.
I mean, Bill, you could be a bartender for all we care.
I
Work at the cantina.
Yeah.
the cantina. Yeah.
Shanna?
I'm no Jedi.
I'm with Bill. I'm going Gray Jedi all day.
These guys. Oh,
I'm
I
dead.
mean, look, I'm not trying to kill little kids. Let me go back to that. Not trying to kill little kids.
that's definitely.
I'm no officer of the law either.
I get to hang out with my loaf wolf. Leave me alone.
I'm too emotional to be a Jedi.
And if someone's talking back or annoying you, could just shoot them with lightning. Like Jedi, you can't do that because you're the good guy. At least with a Sith.
Hey, Ray shot lightning.
Yeah, but she was like borderline where she was. Shoot lightning after that, though.
All right, everyone. I'm going to actually wrap up the live stream for the evening. I'm going to give you guys some closing thoughts, and then I'll close out. And I'll meet you guys in the lobby. So I'll go ahead and start with. How about you, Bill?
Oh, great.
Closing thought.
Background.
It changed it after 2 hours.
Exactly. That's why I'm wrapping up.
Yeah. So, no, I had a lot of fun on this. This was good. We should do it for other topics.
Like Marvel.
Like Marvel, Disney.
Harry Potter,
exactly. All of that. So, those are my thoughts. Next.
Oh, I'm next. Great. Thanks, Brian. I just want to say thank you to Brian and Dark Media. This has been so much fun. It's like nice interacting with people while everyone's locked at home. So it was a really fun night. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Becca.
Okay, we're done.
Oh, sorry. I was checking on Facebook to make sure that it was still there. No, thank you, Brian, for the invite. It's been fun, especially catching up with some people, meeting some new people as well. And of course, it's Star Wars. It's May the 4th. So thank you for putting this whole thing together. It's been a lot of fun and kind of resonating on each other about certain things and talking with intellectuals that actually know about Star Wars, even though Brian still has to watch all the animated stuff. So shame on you.
It's true.
For those of you who have not watched the animated series, you are missing out on so much of these backstories that we were talking about. Rebels and Clone Wars are absolute must. Resistance, I was a little leery about when it came out because of the animation style, but then you kind of get hooked and you kind of have to finish watching it. But Rebels and Clone Wars are an absolute must, even though it takes you like 85 or 90 hours to get through it all. So do it, though. It's worth it. You got plenty of time at home. Thank you guys all for watching and checking us out.
Great. Thanks for having me. And you guys, it's May 4th. May the force be with you. And, I'm going to piggyback on that and say, Rebels and Clone Wars are a must, but I'm also going to really push also that Resistance is pretty good. And the little Forces of Destiny shorts are awesome. They're super short. They're fun to watch and full of tons of little Easter eggs. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Shannon.
Yeah, this was fun. I enjoyed talking with some people that actually know my references. So that's a little unique, but I had a lot of fun. Hope everyone enjoyed watching it. I'm glad my brother had me on. It was good talk. And just remember, don't be a rebel scum. Join the Empire.
All right, so I'm just doing some closing thoughts myself. So, again, my name is Brian Louchen. I hope you guys all enjoyed our Star Wars Voices of the Galaxy live stream. Definitely please support us by going to Dark Media Inc. on Facebook, also our YouTube channel. I did have my daughter and my nephew watching there, which is pretty special. I think that's pretty awesome. And definitely give us a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Please go ahead and share it if you know someone that likes Star Wars. they want to see us bantering, that'd be great. Definitely comment below. I mean, I liked that we were talking about different things we could actually do and other topics. So Marvel, Harry Potter. Put in the comment below this video, what do you guys want us to talk about? We'll have different guests on here. We could definitely talk about this for sure. So I'm going to close it out with, let the force be with you.